If you want to save $5,000 fast this year, this is exactly what you need to do. Look, the idea of saving $5,000 this year starts with breaking it down into a sizable goal, and that brings us to the $13.70 rule. If you put aside $13.70 every day this year, you will reach your goal. And if we break it down by week, that brings us to $96.15 each week, or $416.68 a month. And for some more perspective, that $5,000 that you would have at the end of the year, it could be for a vacation, it could be for a gift to yourself, it could be part of your contribution to your retirement, it can be part of the financial cushion that changes your whole entire life. There are plenty of different reasons that you might want to save this money. And in this video, I'm going to go over 8 specific steps you can use to get this money. Now, what does $13.70 a day actually looks like? It could be a sandwich and a drink, or a burrito bowl with some chips, or maybe if you add guacamole, or it's a coffee with a breakfast sandwich, whatever it is for you. And maybe it's not something every day. It could be fast food on Friday nights with the whole family, or buying a video game every couple of weeks, or maybe even buying 1 or 2 pairs of shoes each month. This type of stuff adds up really, really quickly. And when you take a look at it, I'm going to give you some very easy steps that you can use right now, and you can get this money. First thing is to start off with a budget. You have to have a typed up or written budget. It could be in a spreadsheet or on paper, something that reminds you how much you make and how much you're spending in different categories, how much wiggle room you have to do anything else. This is the #1 fastest way to see if it's even within reach, because without a budget, you might not know whether or not this goal is achievable or if it's just completely crazy. Your budget is going to allow you to take a close look at your needs and your wants. And you need to do this monthly. Make sure you're reviewing the last month's expenses before you even talk about the current month's expenses. And please, please, please make sure you revisit the budget throughout the month, because you need to make some adjustments. If you see things are heading down the wrong path, you have to be able to change course. Okay, so you need to make changes along the way. Think about it from this perspective. If you text one of your friends right now and ask them, hey, should I get those new J's we just saw? Your friend is going to say, hey, you know what? I think you've been pretty good about spending. Why not? Go ahead, treat yourself. The problem with this is not your friend. It's the fact that your friends are not your budget. You can't ask your friend, you have to ask your budget if you can get those J's. And if we're being honest, your friends aren't going to ask to see your budget before they even answer the question. If you want to be really honest with yourself, you have to ask your budget, because your budget is not going to be nice to you. It's not going to give you a pat on the back. It's going to keep it real, and it's going to tell you the numbers. And as long as you're honest with what you put in the budget in the first place, then you'll get the right answer. And your budget is just simply it's going to stick to the facts. And that's what you need in order to make this decision. This means that if the money in your budget last month for shopping and entertainment shows that you spent $500, your budget is going to remember that. Your friend won't. Okay. So most people aren't sharing their budgets with their friends. Only a few of your actual friends know exactly what you make in the first place. So they definitely don't know what you're spending on a regular basis or how much you pay for every single thing. Only your budget is going to know that. So you have to do a simple budget to give you an idea of where you're starting from. Otherwise, you're just guessing. If you haven't used a budget template, or you need something to try for the first time, then I have one in the description below, and that's free of charge. Anyone can use that. Once you have your budget in place, you'll be much clearer on how you're going to get this $13.70 a day, or $96.15 each week. The next thing you can do is make food at home. And it's so easy to go to work and grab lunch with your coworkers, or order food as a group, or go to happy hour after work too. I get it. And it's a great way to just get out the office, but it doesn't help you reach your goal. Not if we're going to get this money. So you're going to have to lock in. you have to start making your lunches. You're gonna have to plan how you grocery shop. If you like leftovers, you need to make enough for dinner and pack some for lunch the next day. If it's not enough fun, bring some different sauces or whatever you need to make your lunch feel different each day. You could even decide to buy a rotisserie chicken and break it down for a sandwich one day, a wrap the next day, soup on the third day, whatever it takes, okay? Because these are the adjustments you need to make if you're gonna reach that goal. Plan to cook on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights and hope that it gets you all the way through the week. Start the week off with maybe a hot lunch and then end the week with sandwiches and salads, whatever it takes. I have so many ideas, but I'll save them for a different video. The next thing you can do is adjust how you shop. You have to take a moment and just comparison shop. When it comes to your grocery budget, the more frozen meals and prepared foods you buy at the grocery store, the more it's just gonna cost you. But if you cook your own food and freeze your own food, you're gonna save this. You're gonna save enough to get this $13.70 a day. And I'm speaking from experience here. You simply have to avoid the temptation of going to the grocery store and being so tired from shopping that you don't wanna cook what you just bought, so you end up ordering out. I mean, I know I'm not the only one that's guilty of this, but you have to remind yourself that every time you want something convenient and fast, you're gonna pay for that convenience. And in my opinion, fast food is getting way too expensive nowadays. And especially if you compare it to the actual quality of what they're providing, but that's no shade. If making sure you have some trail mix or a snack in your lunch helps you from buying food on the way home from work, just do that. If eating a meal before grocery shopping stops you from going off script and getting things that aren't on the list, then you need to do that. One personal tip that really helped me with this was to unfollow some of the social media accounts that do a bunch of food reviews, because I realized it was making me want to either buy that food or try and make it on my own, and it had nothing to do with my normal grocery list. And this was hard for me, especially because I really enjoy a nice dinner at a restaurant. I like seeing food reviews or different takes from people on food, and I realized that this was feeding certain impulses. So if this is you, simply unfollow those accounts so that you can get the right momentum going just for this goal. It doesn't mean you won't find those accounts later on. The algorithm has rhythm, okay? You can also plan to avoid buying things at the checkout line. There is a specific reason why gum, candy, lip balm, chips, whatever else you see at the cash register or the checkout line, those provide some of the biggest margins for grocery stores and convenience stores. And they're marked up for your convenience, and you can buy them in different units than you would on the normal racks at the back of the store. See, they're usually things that aren't really on your list and you don't need them. They're also the right height for kids to grab too, if you don't notice. But honestly, when you're standing in line waiting to get rung up, you notice something with bright colors, or it says buy one, get one free, or you didn't even pay attention to it until you saw the person in front of you grab it. And it all just plays into the psychology and the experience for the shopper. And it really squeezes the last couple of dollars out of you that you weren't even planning on spending. Avoiding this can help you reach this goal. One other way you can help lower the grocery bill too is to just take some time and meal prep based on what you already have in the house right now. Right at this very moment, you have some cans of food that you haven't used and you aren't willing to donate them because at some point you know you'll use them. Find a way to turn it into a meal. The same thing with your freezer. There are easily more than 3 things in there right now. They can easily be used to prepare a meal. And we live in this culture of excess, and it's extremely convenient to have a really full freezer. And most of the time there's something in there that we forget about, and then we end up going to the grocery store, and since we aren't sure of what's in the freezer, we end up buying more of the same thing again because we tell ourselves, well, we'll use it anyway. I've done this plenty of times. So when you do that over and over and over again, you start to see these enormous grocery bills, and you still end up going out to eat anyway. The next thing you can do to get this $13.70 is to cut back on debt. This is where your budget will really, really help you because you know how much you're dedicating each month to loan and credit card payments. You can't comfortably save if you're adding to this credit card bill or if you're paying 25% interest on something that you bought months ago. And I'm even going to tell you to just pause on buying things that are buy now, pay later. There are a lot of services out there where you can just buy something and it might even be interest free. You can split it into multiple payments. And I know it's convenient. It's really convenient because they didn't always have this when I was younger, but it's going to distract you from this goal. And if we really want to get this $5,000, we have to just lock in and avoid the distractions, even if it seems like they're convenient. The next thing you need to do is figure out how to have some low cost fun. What are some ways you can have some low cost fun? Just think about it. And you may need to get creative. You can easily just start with a Google search. Free events in my area, real simple. And just look at the local parks, the recreation services, there are things in your city or county, and you've already paid for this as a tax-paying citizen. So just take some time to enjoy them. The most low-cost item is really just taking a walk in your neighborhood or going on a hike. If there's a high school in your area, use the track after school hours. If you know you like to buy books, just take a break on that and just use the library. And in fact, libraries are a great resource because they always have a list of free events in the area. And just take a moment and think, what am I already paying for that I'm not utilizing? One of the hardest things to realize is that the more convenient things become, the less resourceful we are. And it's not your fault. It's a natural response to technology. It eliminates our ability to think of alternatives, workarounds, and we find ourselves just paying for the convenience fees because it works best for us. And I just want to encourage you to think of different ways to turn lemons into lemonade instead of always buying the lemonade from somebody else. Now, let's say you've cut your costs as reasonably as possible, and I get that. So you can only cover so much, but sometimes the best answer is to just make more money in different ways. So some other ways to get this $13.70 a day is to increase your income. And you may need to look at some side hustles or picking up overtime at work to accomplish this goal. If you need some additional ideas on side hustles, then I have a video you can watch right after that, or I'll link it below. It could be doing food delivery for an hour each night, or you might be able to house sit or pet sit. Just doing something extra to just bring in some extra income will help you move the needle and get you to this goal. The 1370 rule works especially when you do this, and the most important part is automated. The way we manage money is very emotional. Sometimes it can be logical, but more often than not, it's emotional. And one thing I will guarantee you is that you're not going to feel like saving, okay? One way to make sure this works is to just take that feeling aspect out of the whole process by just automating it. And you can set this up by, let's say, every Friday you transfer the $96.50 to your savings account. And I would prefer that versus the $13.70 each day or the $400 and some odd dollars each month. And one aspect that's going to make this even sweeter is if it's transferred into a high yield savings account or a brokerage account where you can even invest the money in a money market fund. And the point is, we just want this savings to be separate from your checking. And because your checking is where you're paying for everything, we don't want to confuse this at all. We don't want all these withdrawals and things in between the deposits. High yield savings accounts and money market accounts, they give you a better rate than just the standard savings rate. So just keep in mind that rate does change based off of the Federal Reserve and the Fed funds rate that they set. And if you're looking for high yield savings accounts, just be sure to look at websites like NerdWallet and several others to search and filter through these different banks. But you have to make sure that they are, one, FDIC insured if they're a bank. And if you're using a brokerage account, it needs to be SIPC insured. Now, I know some of you are watching this and you're wondering about the level of discipline you have to accomplish this goal and the changes you have to make. And you might even feel like you're behind because of the time of year you're seeing this video. And I want you to just take a break from thinking about that and just go back to why you're saving the money in the first place. There's this quote by Friedrich Nietzsche, and it's, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." And it's one of my favorite quotes, and I've remembered it since college, and it just helps me refocus. If you have a strong enough reason or a purpose, you can find a way to endure any challenge, any hardship that life just throws in your way. And I know we talk about an emergency fund or dream fund, as I like to call it, but you have to look further past that, because your why has to be much bigger than that fund itself, because that's what's going to drive you. And I know for me, I think about the sacrifices my parents made when they came to this country in the 70s to provide not only for me and my siblings, but also to support extended family in Ghana. And I know that I want to help them. Not only that, I know that my why is to create a safe financial space where people who are underprivileged, overlooked, and underbanked, who came into this country and started a new life, can strengthen their financial literacy, be empowered, and avoid the mistakes that my parents made and mistakes that I made. So I want to have financial conversations and increase those conversations in households so that it positively affects the community. Some of you are watching this video right now, and that might be your parents that you're considering. And you might be planning on ways to support them while also supporting your own families as well. And if that is you, I want you to make sure you subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on financially present content. And if you're ready to get started with your goals using the $13.70 method or rule, then this next video on budgeting is just for you. Until next time, stay present.